Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday morning meditation gathering. I'm so glad you're all here to share this time together. Meditation gathers energy and power when we meditate together. This week we have Peter Parr leading us in meditation, and then we'll have 20 minutes of silence. And after that, we'll open it up for sharing, and we'll end at 10:45. So you're all on mute. Over to you, Peter.
Thank you, Dan. Hello, everyone, and thank you, Dan and Sharon, for inviting me to facilitate this morning's meditation. It's a great pleasure. So, at school, for A-level, I studied John's Gospel, and I remember that I never really engaged with it. In fact, I struggled with a lot of what was in the gospel, and particularly the I am sayings of Jesus, which seemed to me to be proclaiming his specialness at the time. But studying the course has helped me to understand those I am sayings in a very different light. So I'll just share one of them. I am the true vine. Remain in me as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. As I understand it now, when Jesus speaks of himself as the true vine, he's not speaking of Jesus the man. He's referring to his innermost I am, his true self, which is the Christ self. The clarification of terms explains, in his complete identification with Christ, the perfect Son of God, his one creation and his happiness, forever like himself and one with him, Jesus became what all of us must be. He led the way for us to follow him. He leads us back to God. So the Christ self isn't limited to the person of Jesus, because the Christ self has no limits. Jesus' true self, his I am, is our true self as well. In the workbook, in part 2, section 6, there's an introductory section, What is the Christ? And I'll just read an extract from that. Christ is God's Son as he created him. He is the self we share, uniting us with one another and with God as well. He is the thought which still abides within the mind that is his source. He has not left his holy home, nor lost the innocence in which he was created. He abides unchanged forever in the mind of God. Christ is the link that keeps you one with God and guarantees that separation is no more than an illusion of despair, for hope forever will abide in him. Your mind is part of his, and his of yours. So, what can we learn from the true vine saying? To paraphrase it, remain in the Christ self as the Christ self remains in you. To remain is to abide. Now, we might experience a state of I am awareness from time to time, perhaps in meditation, but the challenge is to remain in that state of awareness or Christ consciousness as we go about our daily lives. So a question for each of us to reflect on is, how can we do that? How can we remain in the vine? The saying in John 15 continues, No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in Christ consciousness. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. In Paul's letter to the Galatians, he writes about the fruits of the Spirit. And those are very similar to the characteristics of God's teachers as described in section 4 of the Manual for Teachers. Truth, honesty, tolerance, gentleness, joy, defenselessness, generosity, patience, faithfulness, open-mindedness. Now, we're all branches in the same vine, so it's actually in our nature to bear that fruit. But we'll only do that if we abide in the vine, so that Christ's is the vision with which we see, and his is the mind with which we think. Remember, of myself I can do nothing. So, if my function here is forgiveness, or healing my mind of false ideas, or being whole, I need to return my mind to him who is myself. That's from lesson 121. To lead us into this morning's meditation, I'd like to read a short extract from lesson 109 of the workbook, and then a line from the Gospels. So I invite you to sit comfortably. Take a couple of conscious breaths. Become aware of your feet on the ground. You might want to close your eyes. The meditation will last for about 20 minutes, and at the start and again at the end, I'll sound a singing bowl. I rest in God. We ask for rest today and quietness unshaken by the world's appearances. We ask for peace and stillness in the midst of all the turmoil born of clashing dreams. We ask for safety and for happiness, although we seem to look on danger and on sorrow. And we have the thought that we'll answer our asking with what we request. I rest in God. This thought will bring to you the rest and quiet, peace and stillness, and the safety and the happiness you seek. I rest in God. This thought has power to wake the sleeping truth in you, whose vision sees beyond appearances to that same truth in everyone and everything there is. Here is the end of suffering for all the world, and everyone who ever came and yet will come to linger for a while. Here is the thought in which the Son of God is born again to recognize himself. I rest in God. Completely undismayed, this thought will carry you through storms and strife, past misery and pain, past loss and death, and onward to the certainty of God. There is no suffering it cannot heal. There is no problem that it cannot solve, and no appearance but will turn to truth before the eyes of you who rest in God. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest.
open your eyes slowly and come back into the room. We have approximately 14 minutes left for sharing your reflections and questions. If you'd like to speak, please raise your hand and give a wave, and I'll take you off of mute, or you can use the chat function at the bottom of the screen. Sarah, would you like to say something?
Yes, Pete, thanks so much for that meditation. It was absolutely beautiful. I was sitting here, there was children in the playground over the road, there were vehicles, there were people on the scaffolding, and the raucous old herring gulls, and I just rested in God because of the introduction you gave us. I just want to say a big thank you, and it's lovely, lovely to see you here.
Thank you, Sarah. You're very welcome. Lovely to see you.
Lynn, would you like to give a reflection?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Peter. I just wanted to express my gratitude. Before I did my lesson this morning, I was reading that What is the Christ? And I really wanted to kind of assimilate it all. And so I was drawing a diagram of, how it all fitted together, God, Christ, my true self. And I'd completely forgotten Jesus. I'd forgotten to put him in anywhere on my diagram. So I just wanted to thank you for reminding me about the role of Jesus, and also for adding more substance, because I was asking how can I remember this? How can I take it in? And there you're my answer. So thank you so much. I'm really grateful.
Fiona?
So beautiful, Peter. So clear. And the image of the tree with the fruit so came to life for me. It was just amazing. And it also linked with the passage that I was reading this morning in A Course in Miracles about all of us being linked. And also I had a refrain, a song in my mind, which I played when my dad was dying. It's from the Ionian community, and it's music to come to me, you who are weary. And it's so beautiful. I was singing it in my mind during the meditation. So thank you for that. It's brought so many lovely things together, so much gratitude, fullness of the spirit of being together.
Yeah.
Hi, can I ask a question, please? It's Kirsty.
Go ahead.
Sure, Kirsty.
Hi, Peter. I have a problem in meditations with my mind. It always wants to wander off, and to sit for 20 minutes resting in God is really, really hard for me, because I will find that my mind has gone off to somewhere, not necessarily a negative place, but just a silly place, rather than being present and resting in God. And I'm wondering what your view is on one particular practice that was suggested to me, of repeating like a mantra the words "I rest in God, I rest in God, I rest in God" throughout the 20 minutes in order to kind of keep your mind focused. Is this something that you would the practice that you would recommend?
I would recommend Kirsty trying out different techniques. in meditation, and finding one that helps you to settle and to connect with your source, and to come to that place of stillness and of rest. Yeah, it's my experience too that inevitably that the mind does wander, and when I notice that happening, I try not to beat myself up over that, but then just return to the stillness, return to the peace. For me at the moment, there's a little sequence that I go through, feeling my feet on the floor, feeling my back against the chair, looking around me if my eyes are open, but otherwise just listening for sounds, and that brings my wandering mind back. A mantra may be very helpful for some people. I do sometimes use a mantra, but I would say it's not so much the technique. It's that one is better than another. We're all one, but we're also all individuals. So different things will work better for other people. And so yeah, try a mantra, try different mantras. And the other thing I would say is that I often find it difficult to settle immediately, but come the end of this meditation, so as we were coming to 20 minutes, I'd reached that place of stillness. So it's about persevering as well, and practice makes perfect.
Thank you for that, Peter.
Celia, would you like to?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I thank you, Peter, and thank you, Kirsty, because I have perpetually had a problem with wandering mind, and it happens all the time. In meditation, I have found that I can go quite still quite quickly, and Celia falls away, and that's wonderful. And then the mind goes off, and I'm doing something else. I was advised that when I discovered that this was happening, I should actually be delighted, because here I could now see split mind, and I could say, right, I can see you, split mind. I am going to go back into the meditation. Thank you, but no thank you. I don't want to be an ego. I'm going back to God. And I have found that so helpful. It's just, for me, it's a continuation of what is perfect. And if I find myself in ego and then notice it, that's perfect, and releases me. And it doesn't make me wrong. It makes me happy that I can identify it and let it go and go back into the meditation. And the meditation was so beautiful, and your lead up was so peaceful, and I did rest. I rested a considerable amount of time with little bits of going off in the meantime. But thank you. That was lovely. Thank you.
Thank you, Celia. And as you say, when the mind does wander, if we can notice it, then that gives us the perfect opportunity to choose again.
Yeah.
I have something from in the chat room. It says, "Thank you so much, Peter. It was so comforting. I have some very fearful thoughts about some situations, and I kept repeating, I rest in God and trust Him. My question is being answered, so no need to use this." That's it. Yes, Terry.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I agree with everyone who spoke. And what for me, I recognize that when I went into meditation, I would have lots of thoughts, mostly associated with my body or someone else's body or something in the world that was attached to a body. So I recognize I used to give myself a really hard time with this. And I thought I had to be, perfectly in place of love. So I was desperately trying to get there. So part of that was desperately trying to get rid of the thoughts I was holding. And then I got a communication come through, and it said to me, "Stop giving yourself a hard time, Terry. These are just thoughts, and you're making them important, and they're not important. Just see them as that, and just let them roll through your mind without trying to stop them." Because I recognized that it was the ego that was in charge of these thoughts, and the ego wanted me to try to stop them, but my mind wouldn't. So I just accepted them, and they're okay. I just didn't give them any power, I didn't interpret them as important. And so in their lack of importance, gradually in the meditation over time, they would just fade away. And then once they faded away, then the thoughts of the Holy Spirit would come into my mind, thoughts of Jesus. And I could do this then when I was walking down the canal bank. I could see that, look around me and get these thoughts coming into my mind. But it's solely in don't fight. That's what people, I'm sure, try to do in meditation, is fight the thoughts that are coming in. Just give them up. That's okay. Give them up to the Holy Spirit. That's it. That's my lecture for today.
Perfectly put. So our thoughts are really nothing more than clouds, and beyond the clouds, the sun is still shining. It's still there. So we don't have to fight clouds. Just let them drift away.
I have another comment in the chat window. Thank you, Peter. So simple and pure. I have been struggling with meditation recently, but this morning your meditation took me to a place of great peace. Anyone else? We have time for one more. Yes, John.
Yes, thank you, Peter. That was great. I'll just quickly say, because what I really got out of there was the reminder of the power of the two words "I am," when you spoke about the "I am." And I remember reading that whatever we say after the words "I am," the subconscious mind takes on as that being our essence, who we are. So, that was a very good reminder to just be conscious and aware of how I use the words "I am." And I think I was sharing with Dan and Teresa the other day. It's very interesting. In Spanish, they have two verbs for to be, and one is for impermanent situations, and the other is for permanent. So, for example, "I am a man" would be one verb, but "I am tired" would be another verb to be.
The impermanent
so
one.
It's the impermanent one. So we don't have that in English. So I really do take care of what I say after "I am," because it's really embedding who we are. So, depression is not who I am, or sickness is not who I am. So that was a great reminder, starting off there with the "I am" messages. So thank you for that.
Okay.
Hi, Peter. Thank you so much. I really loved the way that you linked words from the Bible and the Course, because sometimes I'm not very well read on the Bible, but it was lovely how you linked them both together. And I was keeping semi-alert in case anybody came in late. And but with repeating the words, I rest in God, I could have my eyes just a little bit open, and I felt so peaceful. So it's lovely to see you, and and thank you so much.
You're welcome, Teresa. Thank you.
Okay, we've come to the end of our meditation. Thank you, Peter. That was wonderful. What a great experience. And thank you all for being here and sharing and joining together. And hope to see you next week. And take yourself off mute, and you could thank Peter if you'd like to.
Thanks, Peter. That was lovely.
Thank you,
Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan and Teresa. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dan and Teresa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yes.
That is